talk about books. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about all of the books that I have read this year. Right now there's a total of 22 books that I have finished. I have them separated into 3 categories. The first one we have is loves, so books that I have absolutely loved that I read this year. The second one is likes, so books that were, in the middle. I liked them, they were okay, but they weren't my favorites. And then dislikes. First, let's start off with the dislikes. I have 7 in total, and the first one we're going to talk about is The Girls by Emma Cline. This book is about this girl who comes and she makes friends with this friend group, and they're obsessed with this one guy and things start going downhill real fast. I'm going to be quite honest with you, I don't really remember a lot of it. I know my best friend, she really wanted me to read it because she really liked it. It just wasn't for me. I thought it was very slow and it was very mediocre. It was very mediocre. Next, we have Ninth House. Listen. My favorite book of all time, Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This can't be the same woman. This cannot be the same woman. I'm starting to feel like maybe Leigh Bardugo is just a one-hit wonder for me. I hate that. I hate that so bad. I want to love her books. I want to love them. The way that I love Six of Crows. The way that I love Crooked Kingdom even. I wasn't as big of a fan of Crooked Kingdom as I was Six of Crows, but I still loved it. They were still my characters. But this book, not yet. Didn't care about the characters, and I'm very character driven when it comes to my books. I have to have a connection with the characters if it's going to work. Otherwise, count me out. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't really care about the plot. I won't be continuing the series. I won't be reading Hellbent. And what's the King of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo? I'll pop it up on the screen. But I want to try it because I heard that characters from like Six of Crows get put in. But I'm scared that she's going to ruin them. I don't want her to ruin them. But I guess we'll see. Next, Don't Come For Me. I know. I'm saying it. There's better ones out there. Disappointment. There's better smut. There's better romances. This it kind of felt standard. Overhyped. I'm just saying this from a smut point of view because that's what I picked it up for. I wanted something quick. I wanted something smutty. I wanted the vibes. This next one really grinded my gears. While reading this book, I was a little feisty. I was a little upset. And that is The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. I read Safe Haven by Nicholas Sparks way back in like high school. And I loved that book. It was one of my favorite romances of all time. I loved the movie. I loved everything about that book. And I went into this thinking that I would get kind of the same love. The main character in this made me very upset. I didn't agree with a lot of her choices in the book. I kind of found her annoying. Emotional impact at the end of what was supposed to hurt me and was supposed to like make me sad. I could feel that it was supposed to make me sad. I could understand where it would make someone else sad. But I just couldn't forgive her for him. I was hoping that it would at least be a 3-star. On to the next book. We have Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Chow. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I knew this one was going to be a hit or miss because I'm not a big fan of when one person is famous and the other person isn't and they get together. I'm not a big fan of that. This book did not really do it well. I had an emotional connection to the characters, and I think that was the problem, because the characters, horrible. I did not like them at all. The girl, I felt like she was basically gaslighting him the entire time, and it was hard to watch at times, or read, I guess. But it was hard to witness. It was hard to see him go through this and her put him through this, because he deserves so much better. I liked his character way more than I liked her character. I liked the growth that he had. I liked what he learned from her. And I understand his character to a whole different level. But sometimes when a character is so bad, it just makes you, I don't know. Next, we have One by One by Ruth Ware. This was actually the very first book that I read this year. I listened to the audiobook at the end of last year and finished it at the beginning of the year. It definitely wasn't my favorite. It is about this work group that goes and stays at this resort, and they end up getting stuck there, and they end up getting picked off one by one. I'm not sure that the isolation trope is my favorite. I'm not sure that the narrator of this audiobook was my favorite. So those might have played factors into my rating of this. But even if I read it physically, I still feel like I would have rated it low. Lastly, in the disappointments, we have The Queen of Thieves. This book was a historical fiction. I don't really remember a lot of this. I know it speaks a lot on women's rights back in the day, things of that nature. And let me tell you, there's other books that do it better. Next, we have the books in the like category. So books that I like, books that were okay, you know, kind of in the middle-ish. Okay, first up on the like category, we have The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. This book has been on my TBR for forever. Like, this book has been on my TBR for forever. I finally picked it up in February for like around Valentine's Day. So I'm not a big fan of work-related romances. I just never have been. It's not my favorite trope. And so this book, being a work-related romance, I kind of expected that. I did not, however, expect to like it as much as I did. So it was very much a surprise that I did like it. Next book, we have Wintersong by S.J. Jones. I don't remember a whole lot of it. Goblin King, the mysterious guy. This is a fantasy about this girl and her sister is kidnapped by the Goblin King, and she has to go retrieve her sister. I don't remember much of it, but it was a fun time. And that's what I like. If I read for anything, it is entertainment. I love a good entertaining book. This book, entertaining. Next up, we have Lore by Alexandra Bracken. This is like Rick Riordan meets The Hunger Games in the best way possible, I think. It wasn't the best mythology retelling that I've read. It by far was not the worst either. So it was fun, it was quick, it was easy. I listened to the audio was great. So yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it. Next we have Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. Another controversial one. Do I think it's a little overhyped? Yes. Did I really like it? Also yes. I could see where some people wouldn't like it as much. I got connected to the characters. I liked the relationship. But the third act conflict is what I'll say. The third act conflict, I wasn't a fan. Up next, we have The Stranger Upstairs. This one is a thriller about a woman who moves into a famous murder house. And she's a very big public figure, as far as I can remember. And basically, things just go downhill from there. This is another one of those that I don't remember much of. I just know that it was a good time. There wasn't any times, I will say, that like my jaw dropped because of a plot twist or anything like that. It was just amusing to see like in this woman's head and like the way that she thought, like the things that were happening around her, and like what she thought about them, she did about it. It was very interesting. Next book, we have Baby Teeth by Zoe Stage. Now, this book would have been a 5-star read, would have been in love if I didn't have the daughter's point of view. Let me explain. This is a thriller about parents who have a little girl and they're having a lot of trouble with the little girl. She doesn't speak, she doesn't interact the way that most children do, and she specifically does not like her mother. She specifically takes it out on the mom. And in here, it's dual point of view. You get the mom's point of view and the daughter's point of view. This book would have freaked me out if I hadn't had the daughter's point of view. The daughter's point of view, I felt like it brought too much clarity. It made too much sense. And because of that, I wasn't really fazed by it. Like, I knew why she was acting that way. I knew why the things that were happening because we had her point of view. If the events that happened in this book had happened without the daughter's point of view, 5-star read, I believe. Could have been a 5-star read. Next, we have Things You Save in a Fire by Kaitlyn. Kaitlyn, she could be a 5-star author. That's the same thing that I said about Christine and Lauren. Whenever I first read the Honey Don't List, there's a 5-star in here somewhere, and I'm going to find it. It's the same thing that I think about Kaitlyn. There's a 5-star in here somewhere. I'm just going to have to read the books and find out where. This one's about a woman who gets transferred into a firehouse, and she meets a rookie, and she falls in love. There's a lot of other things going on too, like she's taking care of her mother, and that's a big plot point. You know, there's other hard-hitting stuff in here. This one probably wasn't my favorite that I read by her. I do enjoy TV shows about firefighters, books about firefighters, stuff like that. So I did really enjoy that aspect of it. But yeah, it was pretty good. I didn't really have any hard-hitting complaints about it. It did kind of feel like insta-love. Like as soon as she saw him, she was like, that's going to be a problem. After spending the first part of the book saying oh, I don't really think that I am interested in love. I don't really think that I'm... Then she sees the rookie and all that's down the drain. That's really my only complaint. It was kind of insta-loving. That's not my favorite. Last but certainly not least, we have another Kaitlyn book. We have The Bodyguard. This, I really, really thought about putting in the love category, but sadly she didn't quite make it in there. I did really enjoy it though. This is about this woman who works as a bodyguard and this famous man who she is hired to protect, and their love story. So there's also other plot points too, like they're staying with his family, his mom was in the hospital, he has been visiting her, things like that. It gave me the giggles. It made me so happy. It gave me the giggles. Out of all the books in the likes category, read this one. This one's probably the best. Lastly, we have the books that I love. First up in the love category, we have Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This book, I listened to the audiobook. This book is about this dystopian world that is very much like ours, except for the fact that death does not exist. And so, since death does not exist, to decrease the population, they have assigned these people called scythes. The scythe's job are to determine when it is someone else's time to go, and they have the ability to end your life. That's the only way that you can die. And so a boy and a girl get offered an internship to become a scythe. And that's how the story begins. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to continue on with the series. I want the second and the third book so bad. That will probably be something that I will be reading soon. I'm so excited for the rest of this to continue. I absolutely love the characters. I love the plot. I loved everything that happened in this book. The plot twist, this is a sci-fi, but the plot twists, I was gagged. I did not expect some of the stuff that was coming in this. This was a really good book. Next up, we have my most recent read, Beartown by Frederick Bachman. Frederick Bachman, I knew was a good author because I have also read A Man Called Ove, and Brent Marie Was Here. A Man Called Ove, I rated it 5-star, and then Brent Marie Was Here, I rated it 3. But I knew he had another 5-star in him. He probably has a lot more in him, actually. But the way that he weaved this story, trigger warnings, first off. This is about a town called Beartown where everything that they need, everything that they own, everything that the town aspires to be is based on teenagers and hockey. And the head of the hockey team SAs a 15-year-old girl in the town. And the whole town gets split up and divides on whether he's guilty or not. I feel like every woman needs to read this. Like, it's just such an eye-opener. It's such a conversation starter. This book was a masterpiece. 5 out of 5 stars. Next, we have The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This book is a historical fiction about a woman who mixes up potions and kills men. She strictly only kills men, and it's about like the people that she meets during this. It's dual timeline. So you get the apothecary's point of view when she's making the potions, when she's killing the men. And then you have another woman's point of view, and she finds one of the vials from the apothecary, and she goes on like this whole internet search to uncover the truth about the lost apothecary. And it's about like just the way men can act. So she kills men that deserve it, I will say. But like earlier, whenever I said that there's other books that can do it better, this one's it. This one did it correctly. This one did it the right way. This one did it the way that I wanted it. This book was really good. Up next, we probably have my favorite book of the year, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I have had this on my TBR for I don't know how long, and I can't believe that I have been sleeping on this. I cannot believe that I have been missing out. The characters in this book, Laszlo Strange has my heart. My entire heart. Laszlo Strange in this book, perfect. Everybody needs a Laszlo. This is a fantasy about this boy named Laszlo who dreams of this old ancient city that everyone says doesn't exist, until one day the people of that city come looking for help in the city that he lives in. So he gets sucked in to this whole nother world, and I loved it. I loved everything about it, the characters, the plot. I love this book. My whole fiber of my being. This is now my Roman Empire. Love this book. Up next, we have The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. This book is a thriller about a woman whose husband disappears. He just leaves, and he leaves one note, and it was like, protect her. And he's talking about his daughter, her stepdaughter. Stuff that happens in this book, it was very good. I rated it a 4 out of 5 stars. Up next, we have probably my favorite thriller of the year, and that is Emma in the Night by Wendy Walker. This book is about these two sisters who go missing, and one day one of the sisters show up. And so now they're asking one sister like, hey, where's your sister? What happened? And this book tricked me. This book tricked me. The plot twists everywhere. It was entertaining. I was attached to the character. One girl, I didn't really care about any of the else, but I liked her enough that I liked the whole book. 4 out of 5 stars. The last book that we have is probably a close second to my favorite thriller. That is The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. This book had me shook. The ending specifically of this book, crazy. This is a thriller about this woman who gets invited to this little retreat, like a writing getaway. So she goes and things start going downhill very quickly. There's also someone there that she's had like a past relationship with or like a friendship with, and that's a big plot point. I like that plot point. I like the things that happen because of that plot point. But yeah, things just they go way downhill after that. The ending, shook. And that's it for all the books that I've read this year. I hope that you guys liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. See you guys around.